Good morning again. Short talk at the Rio with the old guy. Just got to get there. This is, I think, called Calle del Norte or something like that. Anyhow, it's Mesilla is a little village slash town off to my left, and I think this stuff out here is still technically Mesilla. I really don't know how far the boundaries of that. You see, it was the original town that was here. Cruces grew up and basically overwhelmed it in terms of size, but Cruces isn't that big either. And so you come out here, you go past snow, and if you ever get to this four-way, even though those guys are the ones with the stop sign, you might want to pay attention. Those stop signs are sometimes treated as mere suggestions, as it were. Has a really good breakfast down there today at the restaurant, and I just wanted to show you some of that knick-knackery stuff hanging on the wall. Jamie, the young lady there, she holds down at least 2 jobs, maybe 3, I can't remember. She's real industrious, smart young lady, and she's got a good sense of humor too. And when you talk to people, you can usually kind of size them up a little bit, and figure out kind of where they're coming from, which touchy subjects do I not bring up with you. See all these? Those are all pecan trees. They grow pecans down here near the river like crazy. I have no idea how many pecan trees are in this area within, I'm going to call it 20 miles north and south here on the river. But there's another orchard right there. They're all over the place. There's another one there. And so southern New Mexico, weirdly, even though we're a desert state, is a pretty heavy hitter producer. I think even internationally, of pecans. And, pecans are good. I like them. But I never have figured out there's got to be a secret to shelling those things. Because, you can go to the grocery and you can get a bag of half pecans. They're perfectly split in half. And it's like, how did you guys get that out of the shell? So there's a little turnoff down here. I'm on the Levee Road right now. And you can see the gate. That's the Elephant Butte Irrigation District. They block their own road. Guess they got a key. And this is, if you can imagine high water in an emergency flood situation, no way is that ever going to happen. Unless the dam breaks uphill of us. But this entire river valley used to flood well over a mile wide for years and years and years until, Americans came along and started building dams and water diversion junk, and so we were sitting right here on what used to be occasionally the Rio Grande, but only seasonally and only for a little while, and then it shrinks right back down. So at any rate, looks like we got a couple of other parkerizers out here today. I was just going to go for about maybe a 15-minute walk or something. I just thought, well, I got time because I told the pastor I'd be there closer to 10-ish because I have to gather up some materials and junk. Still need to stop at the hardware. And let's see if we can gather up my stuff here. And there it is. This is like the equivalent of eating and talking at the same time. Trying to get out of the truck and talk at the same time. Okay, here we are. Oof. Now, this is a little parking area. It's kind of nice down here. And I did want to show you this one thing over here. It's let's just see if there's any water running right now. I don't really remember how long the river should be running because, see, the irrigation district basically just turns it off upstream of us. And for months and months at a time, you can just literally walk across the Rio Grande. It's just a sand thing, just sandbar. As you can see, the weeds are entirely wholesome down here. Get a load of these suckers. Some of them are 7 feet tall. I guess it's weed season now. These here things, if you've ever seen it in a Western movie, that right there is a very large tumbleweed. But I think they come in a couple of different flavors. No, that's not a tumbleweed. I'm sorry, I goofed. This is another species I'm really not familiar with, but they look kind of like a tumbler. So anyhow, look at that. The river's still running. Anyway, I like this little run up right here because, if the bugs aren't eating your face off, it's just little gnats. It's not that bad. Let me just take a look and see what we got here. Okay, see, the river is down about, let me just use my eyeball here. You can see right here, it was right there not that long ago, because that's still slippery mud. They must be turning the volume down right now. Look at that. See that little island out there where them little birds are wandering around? I'll try to zoom it up here for you. Them little guys right there. That island thing was barely visible because you can see where the green part was. Right, oops, got that finger in the way. Yeah, the water's dropping. So they might be turning her down, I don't know. I did several vids out here last spring. And see if I can invert. Yeah, now what the thing is that, there we go. Short talk at the Rio with the old guy. Let's start over. That was an unruly intrusion. So anyway, got some good breakfast in me. I call it a Las Cruces omelet. You know, you take a Denver omelet, pull off them worthless old bell peppers, and put some decent green chili in there, and now you've got all civilized and stuff. And they make good coffee down there, and I decided to try today the sourdough instead of the rye. To me, the darker the bread, the better. I mean, as a sort of general axiom. And there's some bread that, you know, has like little nuts and stuff in it. Anything like that's just great. I'll eat white bread, but why bother? It's kind of like eating air that makes you fat. Just thinking about a couple of things today, and I'm looking, I don't know what kind of algorithm you guys have. Russell Brand right now is in big trouble. No, he's not. They did the same thing to Clarence Thomas, and if you're young, you'll probably have to Google that. Brett Kavanaugh, you youngsters may have to Google that one too. But basically, it's right out of the Democratic playbook. When they cannot silence somebody by, you know, buying them out or intimidating them, they employ slander, and it's almost always the same pattern. A woman or women appear from the past. I mean, like 20-something years ago. All of a sudden accusing this guy or whatever of some kind of sexual sin or crime or something. And where's the evidence? Secondly, why was it never reported to the police at the time? Third, why is it not a police investigation now? In other words, it's just the media. The newspapers and stuff, well, they used to call them newspapers, but these cyber news, what do you call them? Well, you know, like CNN and all that junk. The MSM, there you go, kind of lost track. They basically crucify the guy through the media. There is no legal investigation. He's not actually being charged in any court of law by anyone. These are what they call allegations. And what they do is they do it to ruin people. So this particular algorithm right here, I call it screw tube when they start going into their censorship mode. They've basically taken Russell's channel down, as far as I know. Now, I might be mistaken on that, but at any rate, it ain't right, because the YouTube has its own, what they call, community standards. Community standards meaning what? Did you break the rules in this algorithm? No. It's an allegation from 20 years ago, and he has actually come forward and been quite honest on the matter. So why are they taking him down? Well, the answer is there's a government official in the UK, some woman, and you can probably get the details correct from some other source. Basically, she was petitioning media tech people like Rumble. I guess is it called X now? I don't know. I don't know if Facebook's involved. Anyway, YouTube for sure, because YouTube, Russell has over, I think, 6.5 million viewers. I think that's right. And I don't think CNN can even deal with that. But they can't shut the guy up other than getting him silenced as a potentially provable criminal. There has been no court case. There has been no decision. There haven't even been accusations raised through a prosecutorial thing. No DA's involved. And so this is right out of the playbook of the DNC. They do this kind of stuff all the time. And basically it's a kind of a Hail Mary, last-ditch deal. They don't really have any other good strategies except basically to just start jailing people on arbitrary charges, which could happen, I suppose. I mean, I try not to get all gloomy and stuff. I just wanted to see how bad that light's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be... Hey, it makes it look like I got a halo. Better not do that. That's false advertising, man. Okay. Yeah, so anyway, I'm going to let you see what I see a little bit of down here today. And if you've watched any of these vids in the past, this should look somewhat familiar. Now, I don't know what these junk trees are here, but they just go crazy right by the bank of the river. Beautiful day out here. I love looking at clouds for some reason. Yeah, and so just wanted to kind of have a little chit-chat today, and I'm going to go walk, I hope at least a mile. I kind of think I walk about 25 minutes maybe for a mile. I'm a pretty slow walker. In fact, I remember there was one time there was a lady, she was across the street. We were both going the same way on the same road. I couldn't keep up with her. She had to be, at that time I was in my 40s. She had to be in her 70s. And it was like, man, I must be a slow walker. I prefer walking on the dirt. Just seems like it has less shock on my hips and stuff. A couple of other walkers coming down the way. I'll try to say hello and pretend to be a human. See if they want to say something. Oh boy. So looking at the news in terms of Russell and all that stuff, there's not a lot I can do, but I can say it at least here on this little channel. That just ain't right. It'd be like if I said, we're playing in a baseball game, okay? You're going to be the catcher. Suddenly, in the fourth inning, the coach comes out from the other team, says to the ump, I want that man removed from the field. Why? Because he said, because I heard that his girlfriend said that he did her wrong. Really? Yeah, and this has happened before. He's also done other girls wrong. So take the catcher out, he can't play. But he didn't violate any of the rules of this game that we're in. He's actually being a very orderly catcher today. And it's a little bit like that. In other words, the screw tube, just throwing this guy under the bus like that, it tells me a lot about their, shall we say, character or lack thereof. It means basically they're for sale, and they haven't got any more ethics or integrity than a pimp would. Anyhow, but that's just me. I thought, when was the last time I went for a walk? I've been working every day, and so I haven't really, when I get home at night, it's like, I'm just going to lay down. And see if I can fire off a stogie here. Doing that while moving, it continues to elude me. So anyhow, I just thought 25 minutes or something like that. I don't know how far I'm going to walk, but just to get out and stretch my back and stuff and kind of get away from people. I can deal with being around people, but where I get energized is when I'm by myself. I can pray out here and, just look at all the green and stuff and listen. I just like to listen for the animals or whatever you might hear. Sure is a nice day. Temperature's about right for walking too, and it looked like it's going to get up to maybe 90 or something like that. Look at that dog, man. This is like action dog here.
First time out.
That guy needs some vitamins or something. Yeah. So getting back to the Russell thing, the illustration I wanted to say is it's just flat wrong for a guy like Russell to be taken down. They're punishing him financially because they disagree with him and they don't like him pointing out their duplicity, hypocrisy, corruption, deception, and even worse. They don't like that coming out in the public, see? They want to pretend that they're the good guys. They want to pretend we're on the side of law and order over here. That's what the accusers are trying to do. And so I hope their little house of cards collapses upon their own shabby little head. May they know only corrupt and bent things in their life, finding no joy. And see, I think it's okay to pray that way. I'm not cursing them in the sense of, using four-letter words, but I'm producing a curse. May truth prevail. May the right and the accurate and the realistic and historically true prevail. So a jogger lady out here, she just about caught up with me and then kind of turned around. Here's another older lady. Hey, how are you? And she has a nice smile. So anyhow, ooh boy. Yeah, there she goes. I saw her back behind me a little while. Well, where'd she go? Oh, I forgot I was zoomed out. Sorry about that. I'm probably making you guys seasick. Well, it's only been going on for 10 minutes, Mike. Ugh. Yeah, yesterday was my birthday, and it was so weird growing up with my little brother because we're 364 days apart in terms of age, and so anyhow, every year for one day in the year we're the same age. Then the next day I get a year older. So when we were little kids, boy, that was made for some big birthday parties, as I recall, when we were quite young. A lot of kids running around. I don't even know if they do that anymore. Invite 10, 15 kids over and have, watermelon and games and stuff for kids. Or I wonder if kids are all sealed up, It's like when you look at school crossings, out there, they got the crossing guard, they got the flashing lights. All we're missing is the children. Kids don't walk it to school anymore. Each one of them gets a ride from mom or dad or older brother or somebody. Yeah, it's like you might see maybe one kid cross the street there, if as you're passing by, but hardly ever do you see children crossing the street at crossing places for kids. And so the whole world's changed. So I don't know if birthday parties with 9 or 10 or 12 little kids running around is such a predictable deal, because suddenly now do you need 12 parents there as well? I mean, now we got a seat 24. But anyway, yeah, just like to come out and think about things, and as I was thinking about, this was my thought for the day yesterday, and I thought I just passed that on, is that I woke up with the idea of patience, and I thought, when was the last time I ever asked to learn patience? Well, sorry, I don't have time for that. Just letting see that color there. Look at these rascals. That is a kind of a violet, I guess. But with the light, the way the shadow plays off it, you can get about 4 colors out of there. Easy. I like them little rascals. Kind of just shining their little faces up to the heavens and saying, hey, look at me. All right. So anyhow, when you get to thinking about it, all the dirty deals done, and all the crap, and all the political BS, at the bottom of it, really, it's kind of a hate affair with this right here, with the real, with the natural, with the sober, with the wholesome, with the reasonable. All of that is what's at stake here. They're asking you to sacrifice your brain. They're asking you to quit thinking on your own and just trust their narrative. Never mind the fact that it doesn't make any sense and it doesn't even stick together. The story falls apart. And they still want you to trust them and also to decisively reject that old superstition, that old hokum, that story spun by a bunch of magicians. Nah, the gospel truth is the only thing in this world that's holding this sucker together. I mean, things are beginning to fly apart because why? They're abandoning the foundation. The foundation is built on truth. The foundation is built upon His presence and the validity of His word as it applies to us day by day. So if you chuck that overboard and you say, we're simply going to work on the basis of our own internal goodness, slender topic there, and we're going to work on the basis of my ability to use science to grasp the situation accurately without any help from any interpretive guide above. Yeah, now you can see for sure now. That little islandy thing right in front of me, that was just barely submerged last time I was down here. So, yeah, the water's down almost 3 feet, I think. Clearly, I'm making things up at that point. Yeah, so if we can get down here and, I'm going to guess to McCade here in a little while. Where that jogger lady is now, you may not be able to see her. The frame is so small. She's probably a good 300 yards or more ahead of me. And there's a little bridge thingy up there. And we'll probably wrap that video up here once that sucker comes into view. Because I want to say in my mind that's my estimate was that's about 3/4 of a mile. And I really just wanted to walk 1 mile. So if I get that little bridge thing in view, I'll probably just turn around. So when you start thinking about all the false accusations, this is what it looks like to me. You got high profile people like Robert Kennedy Jr., like Donald Trump, like now Russell Brand, and others, who we'll call them the powers that be, just can't stand. And what do these guys all have in common? Listen to their message. Listen to their perspective. See their perspective. And basically, it's just a huge critique of the deeply, deeply corrupted system which now passes for normality. That corrupted system which is busy bankrupting not only our generation, but generations to come. They've been put in a position, at least since Ronald Reagan's time, and financially, to borrow money every year to pay what? To pay the interest due on the loan. If anybody else on the planet was in that financial position where they every year their only option is to borrow more money in order to pay the interest due on the outstanding loan, that's what we call bankrupt anywhere else. And this is the center of the banking disaster, as far as I can tell. It's just unsound principle. And with these unsound principles, yes, you can run them. Yes, you can make them fly, sort of, for a while until they collapse from the inside. But the other option is you have to remember there's not only interior failure, in other words, these corrupted ideas, these frauds being foisted off, they collapse under their own weight. But there's also weight from above, a certain perfect amount of judgment weight, which drives down these corrupted systems. Essentially, the problem is these systems are set up with their center finger, you know which one, figure out which finger is pointed at God with the back of the hand. And so we showed the Father the back of our hands. We said, we want nothing to do with you. Get out of our face. What if he decides to oblige them? What if he says, okay, bye? Now you have runaway systems that are just into sort of free-for-all catastrophe mode, or at least trying to get there. Yeah, I think I see a little bridge thingy right up in front. Yeah, there's a walker right up in front of me, dressed all in dark something. I can't tell if that's a jumpsuit or what. Anyhow, yeah, so I'm going to say this magically equals 5/8 of a mile. I'm going to rotate and probably sign off. Yeah, there we go. So anyhow, you guys, if you find it in your own life that you're getting disgusted or getting discouraged by just how crooked things are, then what we need to do is we need to kind of bathe our minds again. It's kind of like you gotta, I remember when I was a kid, my mom would catch me cussing. She'd wash my mouth out with a bar of soap and made sure I got all kinds of good lather in there. Ugh. Here comes a whole slug of bikers. And but it isn't like that. You need to kind of just wash out all that. In a sense, it's fear, and in a sense, it's also just being disgusted. It's like, how can these people be so blind? But see, they think you're the one who's blind. You're the one who is blind because you believe in Jesus. They think you've been brainwashed because you believe the truth. And so it's kind of an exactly backwards, kind of upside down world, and but not 100%, close to 100% backwards. But you can't actually be 100% backwards on anything. Not really, because you always have to root down somewhere in the real. You have to stand somewhere on a real place in order to do it. You got to breathe air in order to curse. And so the thing is that he always comes in from an angle you didn't see. And it's only afterwards, later, that you think, oh, no wonder I didn't get that message. I was the one who was all wound up in anger or fear or just outrage at all the horrible junk that passes for politics in our time. I don't want this to be a purely political show, because, you know, Jesus has the sovereignty. It doesn't even matter whether you like it or not. He didn't ask your opinion on the matter. But when we develop an opinion on it, and we say, well, you know, he really is God. Hey, look at this. I decided, wow, I could do two things at once. There you go. I just wanted to see my eyes for the last half minute or so. In other words, at the bottom of all this zaniness, he the reward, he who is the treasure, he comes into our bodies, into our very lives, and he changes us from the inside out to reflect a new kind of person, one rooted in his image, the true Adam, the real man. And he's the genuine article, believe you me. He's better than the best. He's way up there, higher than the high. That's high. And you know what he did? He came down and washed the feet of his own servants. There's no leader like that. Nobody can get close to the guy. And yet he draws us near. Think about it. Go get yourself some good breakfast if you can, and find a place where you can relax and just think. Ask yourself, what's bothering me anyhow? Why can't I just, you know, pay attention to what I'm doing without all these distractions? And it's undealt with fears. I have to admit them. And I have to say, you know, I really think the position of the universe is getting a little shaky. We're about ready to have the wheels fall off of Western civilization. And I can't seem to get anyone who even understands what I'm talking about. So, glad you're there. You guys have a good day. And when you cast things off out of your life, just say, hey, I'm walking away from it. That's no longer the real me. Then you put on something new that hour, and you put on patience, and you put on humility, and you put on a gladness from the inside out. You know, you can tell when somebody smiles at you, whether they're really smiling or like them girls on Price is Right. They got that huge tooth thing going on in the front of their face while they're holding a product up. The girl's not smiling. It's just her mouth is. You can pick that up. And when you see somebody smile at you from the inside, it'll show up in their eyes. Trust me. And now you know how to hear. You hear by looking. It's kind of interesting. That sounds confusing, but don't let it get you down. All I'm saying is we're interacting several fields of perception: hearing, taste, touch, scent, and, you know, all these things. All of them combine. We're not strictly visual people. We're not strictly from the ears. We also sense what's happening in the universe to some degree. But our interpretation is always subject to review. Now ain't it? You have a good day. Bye-bye.